self-improvement books honestly became my form of Bible study, right? I worship these self-help gurus. I read every single book that I could find and I studied their work. I implemented it word for word to the T. I thought that their word of self-improvement was gospel. Until one fateful day where I realized that self-improvement may not be the answer to everything. Books, books, books. Love them or absolutely hate them. You gotta admit, you can learn a hell of a lot from a book. And in terms of books, I personally remember the very first book that I ever read that honestly, it kind of got me into this whole self-improvement journey, this whole space of wanting to improve not only myself, but my entire life. And so the question that I have for you today is, what was the first self-improvement book that you ever read? Maybe it was the book that kind of spiraled the change that first got you into this whole self-improvement lifestyle like it did for me, you know? Maybe it was the book that kind of inspired you to wake up and realize, holy shit, I can actually change my life if I put in a little bit of effort. And I think more importantly to ask is the question of, why did you get into self-improvement in the first place? I think it's safe to say that for the overwhelming majority of us, unfortunately for the overwhelming majority of us, we kind of got into self-improvement after, for lack of a better term, life just fell to shit, right? Our lives were just falling apart. Maybe for some of you, you just hit rock bottom and you woke up one day and you thought, you know what, bro, this, I'm going to finally change my life. And the way I'm going to do that is to get into self-improvement. And for me, I remember this moment as though it was literally just yesterday. I remember the moment where I just sat with myself one day and I was like, bro, like shit's got to change. Like, I'm not happy with the way I am. I need to start kind of getting my act in order. I can tell you that the very first moment that kind of cascaded a chain of like positive events that are still building up on my life to this very moment, I had one moment that kind of started it all for me. When I was in high school, right? This is an understatement, but I literally thought that I was the man, right? I thought I was the shit. I thought that I had life completely figured out. I knew everything. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, where I was going to go. I just had everything down to a T because I was a bloody genius, obviously, right? And so for the majority of my high school days, I had things come pretty easily to me, right? I did pretty well in my academics. I worked reasonably hard enough to get by, right? And I didn't do too badly. Everything was pretty easy for me. And so I never really took my self-improvement or the actions that I was taking very seriously. And let me just tell you that when high school did finally end, when I had my little comfort bubble of perfection and ease and relaxation just pop right in my face, I just woke up and realized that, oh wow, my life is just going in a downward trajectory, right? I pretty much immediately lost all motivation. As soon as school ended, I lost all my motivation, all the ambition that I enjoyed when I was younger, all of the kind of motivation to succeed and achieve things, right? That was all gone. And as a result of this lack of direction, no motivation, no ambition, I eventually started to indulge in a bunch, like a whole lot of bad habits, right? I was drinking a little bit more often. I went out partying with the boys, which was kind of fun in retrospect. I'm not going to lie. We had a good time, but you know, I started drinking a little bit more often. I started eating a lot of bad food, a lot of junk food. I started to not take care of myself mentally, physically, emotionally. And it just got to the point where, as I said a little earlier, life just fell apart and I was a bit of a slob. And honestly, I just got to a place in my life where I was just desperate for help. I was desperate for advice. I was desperate for the answers that would help me kind of change my life situation, that would help me get the control back over my life as a whole and over myself as a person. Because honestly, I'd felt as though I'd lost control over myself, which is a terrifying and horrible feeling to experience. So if you've ever experienced that, I know how you feel. And then cue the heavenly dramatic music. And then I discovered self-improvement. And that was all the hope that a boy needed, right? I needed that little spark of motivation, that little spark of hope, right? That little thing that reminded me that, holy shit, I can actually control my life and I can take back control and take positive action to make my life a little bit better. And that was all that I needed. Self-improvement books honestly became my form of Bible study, right? I worship these self-help gurus. I read every single book that I could find and I studied their work. I implemented it word for word to the T. I thought that their word of self-improvement was gospel. Until one fateful day where I realized that self-improvement may not be the answer to everything. And on this day, I just suddenly realized that I was making one very, very big mistake in terms of blindly following the word of self-improvement. So a couple of years into my self-improvement journey, right, I met this girl and immediately I was just super attracted to her. Like, she was gorgeous and I thought she was funny and intelligent, and bro, I was smitten. Whew. I was like, wow, this girl's amazing, right? But unfortunately for me, I'd gone through some pretty rough relationship experiences in the past. And so I decided that, you know what, fuck it, bro. This time I'm not going to mess this up. I'm going to keep this girl in my life. And in order to do that and make sure she never leaves and to make sure I'm the perfect man, I'm going to read every self-improvement book on relationships and dating that I can get my hands on. I read this book and I thought, okay, cool. I've got it down, right? I know exactly what I need to do. I'm going to do this perfectly to a T, and I'm going to keep this girl in my life forever, right? And I'm sure you can imagine, but that just did not happen. About a week later, after having like probably one of the best dates I thought I'd had with this girl, she messaged me and she was like, yo, I think right now we need to kind of like take a break and just be friends, and yeah, let's just kind of distance. And you know, that message kind of not only like hurt, but it shocked me. Because like I said, I'd followed this book perfectly. I did everything the author said, and it just didn't work. And I had no idea where I had gone wrong. Looking back on that situation now, I truly believe I have so much more clarity on what went wrong and what caused the relationship to ultimately fail. And the biggest takeaway that I learned from that whole entire situation was the fact that every person in this world and every situation is unique and different in its or their own way. Nothing is black and white, right? And that is the trap that self-improvement books lead you into. They lead you into thinking that there is one right way to fix your life. There is one strategy that's gonna change it all for you, that's gonna fix your life and make you this king that conquers everything, right? And you need to realize that this world is a unique place. Every human being is as deep and complex as you. And it is actually pretty silly to think that by following a set of guidelines and rules, you know, based on somebody else's situation, based on somebody else's experience, that information will work exactly the same way for you as it worked for them. I didn't realize that the girl that I spoke about in the story at the time was going through a serious breakup. She was in like a 3 or 4 year relationship or something crazy. And I didn't realize that I was being that kind of like red pill, you know, alpha that was like, yeah, let me escalate the action and be seducing and, you know, and ignore her feelings and just be cool and smooth. Whereas this girl was clearly going through a lot of emotional pain at the time. She was reeling from the hurt of somebody that she truly loved. And I was completely oblivious to that obvious fact, purely because I was following some stupid advice in some stupid dating book, instead of connecting with that girl, being in that moment with her and understanding the intricacies of that situation for what they truly were. I truly just regret the fact that I wasn't me. You know, I didn't show up to that relationship as my authentic self. I was showing up as some dating guru, right? I was following some bloody book, and I always look back and think, what if I'd have just been myself? What if I'd thought for myself and made calls based on my own experiences and my own kind of mind state and philosophy at the time? Does this mean, Niall, that I should never read self-help again? Does this mean that I should drop all of the learning that I've been doing? Does this mean I should never take anybody's advice ever again? Bro, if you do that, you're a dumbass. Because you absolutely should. You should be consuming. You should be a lifelong learner. All I'm saying is, don't take the self-help books as religion. Don't take it as prophecy. Don't take it as this is word and I must follow God's word and this will change my life. Because the simple fact is that advice, as amazing as it may be for somebody else or for the person that wrote it or shared the advice with you, including this advice, it may not work for you. And that is okay. The simple but powerful message that I'm trying to share with you today isn't that you should stop reading. It's simply that you should start reading or start writing. Hint, hint, hint. You should start using the greatest book of all. And that book is a journal. Journaling is such a beautiful practice because it not only allows you to consolidate the knowledge that you've already learned, the knowledge that you've spent a lot of time and a lot of effort gaining for yourself, right? It doesn't only allow you to put it down onto paper, learn from that knowledge and actually consolidate it in a real solid format. but it allows you to critique it. It allows you to explore the inner depths of your own working mind. But when you put out these thoughts, when you start analyzing the inner workings of your own mind, the ideas and the decisions and the contemplations you have, a self-help journal or just a regular journal is so amazing because you get to really see what's going on upstairs. You get to kind of take that knowledge and use it in the best, most constructive way possible. And the most incredible parts that I haven't even mentioned yet is the fact that instead of just blatantly reading from some book, taking that advice as gospel and moving forward with your life, you take the advice that you've learned and you can actually take multiple pieces of advice from multiple books, hence why I tell you not to stop reading. You take all that information and you can actually craft your own specialized, meaningful plan of attack. You are the one that gets to sit down and really design the plan that's going to change your life. You get to say, this works, great. This doesn't work, bugger off. And that's beautiful because now you are tailoring and mastering the ship of your own ocean. That was supposed to come out a lot cooler, but it probably sounded dumb. So you get the point though. Such an incredible part of this practice is that you kind of get the confidence in your own abilities to make decisions, right? I think for a lot of us, when we really spend a lot of time consuming self-help, when we spend too much time, basing our actions and our opinions on the words of others, we really start to lose that trust, that inner kind of confidence in our own abilities to make decisions and move forward with them. Because you are literally following the word of somebody else without ever critiquing it, without ever saying, does this really work for me? Is this really a smart idea? But when you journal, you are finally able to say, okay, I'm the man right now, or I'm the woman in my life that's making the calls. I'm going to make this decision, whether it's a great decision or whether it's a shitty decision. And you will make bad decisions. I'm not going to sit here and tell you you're going to make perfect choices all the time. But that's the beauty. You make a bad decision, come back to the journal, you figure it out, and you move forward. And this really allows you to build that inner confidence that you've probably been searching for. The ultimate takeaway that I so badly want you to leave this video with today is this. Take advice that works. Discard the advice that doesn't, but always, and I mean always, decide for yourself. Because at the end of the day, nobody knows you better than you know yourself. And therefore, your opinion is obviously the only one that matters. I'm thinking about it now and I realize that I might have left you with a bit of a problem watching this video because you're probably sitting there like, so into reading and so into like wanting to improve yourself. And I applaud you, brother. What if you don't want to waste your precious time reading books when they might not even apply to you or your life situation? Do not worry because luckily for you, I have the perfect solution for this very problem. And that solution, my friends, lies in today's video sponsor, Shortform. In my humble opinion, Shortform has honestly revolutionized the way that we read. In our world today, there is more information than ever before and simply not enough time to take it all in. And that is where Shortform comes in. They have summarized thousands of the world's best books and articles and even release new summaries every week based on subscriber voting. On top of that, they provide key insights and commentary to all the concepts that you learn about in each book, as well as give you actionable steps. That's right, actionable steps to take on that information so that it finally sticks. Shortform divides their books into unique categories based on your interests. And if you're anything like me and on this channel, you'd probably be more interested in the self-improvement, the relationships category, and the entrepreneurship category. But there are still over 20 categories to choose from, so you're not going to get bored. In just 2 weeks, I swear to you, I've read over 6 self-improvement books. Wow. That's crazy. It's actually mad. And right now, I'm actually reading the summary of The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, which teaches you that the only time that truly matters is the present moment, and that dwelling in the past and the future is actually what causes 90% of human suffering. So, what time could honestly be better than right now to get your subscription to Shortform? See what I did there? Oh, brother. I'm sorry. All right, but seriously now, to get 5 days unlimited free access to Shortform and an additional 20% discount on your annual subscription, join Shortform through my special creator link, which is shortform.com/Niall Higgins. You'll see it below there, or you can go a little bit further below and you'll find the link in the description.